Anthony Tony Buzbee, personal injury lawyer straight out of Texas, known to blur the lines when it comes to ethics and personal injury law, who has made a career off of shaking down black men. And I'm very surprised that a lot of people aren't clocking it. On April 6, 2021, Tony Buzbee, he launches a lawsuit against NFL quarterback Deshaun Watson. 24 women came forth and accused Deshaun of inappropriate acts, intimate misconduct, and a whole slew of other things. Now, Deshaun, he did have an attorney, but Tony, he came to the media. He pushed the women and their stories into a bunch of different media outlets. Like, they cried, they did a whole bunch of stuff, and the NFL just kind of wanted this to all go away. So what happened? 20 out of 24 of the women were given a confidential settlement. So they can't talk about how much money they got off Deshaun Watson. They can't talk about how much money Tony Buzbee made, because we have heard in these streets that he has a 40% commission. So yeah, you got a few million, but Tony did too. So then when we see Tony Buzbee come back November of that same year, 2021, he's launching a $750 million lawsuit against Travis Scott for the Astro World Festival. Now, my personal opinion is I believe Travis Scott. He said he was singing. He thought the people in the crowd were having a good time. He had no idea that someone was being hurt or that people were being trampled. But either way, Tony Buzbee came forth, represented 120 victims. And I do think the father of the man that ended up passing away, I do feel like he should have been awarded money. This was a very unfortunate event, not to discard everybody else, but his child lost their life. So I completely understand. Now, Travis Scott reached out to the father and offered to pay for any final expenses plus some. But the father was like, no, I don't want your money, and kind of slammed the door in Travis Scott and his team's face. But then you're part of a lawsuit where there's 120 other victims. And once again, a confidential settlement was made with all 120 members of this lawsuit. I can only imagine what the hell Travis Scott and his team had to kick out to 120 people, 750 million, with Tony Buzbee getting 40% of each one of them. And Tony Buzbee, he was so arrogant. He went on Instagram and was like, a settlement was reached. Justice is served. No, if justice was to be served, y'all would have took it to criminal court. But you took it to civil court so that you could get it back. And then you brag about it on Instagram. And a lot of people clocked him in the comments like, okay, yeah, maybe $750 million, and then you get 40% off of each one of the victims. Come on, 2 shakedowns in 1 year. I think that's when Tony Buzbee said to himself, this is too easy. I didn't have to do a lot of the work. I only had to really prepare. And then we got these settlements because nobody is trying to have a trial. He's mastered media manipulation. In November of 2024, Tony Buzbee represents 15 out of 20 of the women who came forth and accused Diddy of doing some Diddy stuff. This is where Tony Buzbee gets a little ahead of himself because he files a lawsuit against Jay-Z. Now, we all know Jay-Z has Alex Shapiro and his whole team on retainer, okay? So Jay-Z is like, what are you talking about? Buzbee comes out and he's representing this lady, Jane Doe. Jay-Z is like, what? I've not done anything. And Alex Shapiro is like, okay, y'all gonna learn today. He not only gets this case dismissed in February 2025, everything was dismissed, but he was also able to control the narrative in the media so that they couldn't drag this out, because we all know that's what Buzbee likes to do. He likes to drag these cases out so that the celebrity can be embarrassed. And Jay-Z stayed releasing statements like, I have never done this. This is a slap in the face to my daughter, to my wife. And I think Jay-Z being married, especially to Beyonce, very powerful woman, and having children, being a father, I think that really helped his case, because he's not just the playboy that Diddy is. But not only did Shapiro get Jay-Z's case dismissed, he also threw Diddy and his team a bone. He's like, hey, Buzbee is not even registered. He's not legally registered to practice in the Manhattan district. So how is he representing 15 women who have filed lawsuits against P. Diddy? And so Diddy's team was like, oh, wow, we didn't even catch that. So he had to let this lawsuit go, case dismissed. That was Diddy's team realizing that maybe we might need Shapiro's help. So now Diddy is about to take his case to trial and defend himself. And I'm like, wait, why didn't you get Alex Shapiro from Jay-Z? Why didn't you borrow his attorney from the get-go? And how did Diddy's lawyer not know that Tony Buzbee wasn't even registered to work in that, or licensed to work in that New York area? That was a big hit for Buzbee because he lost 15 clients. He was hoping for a quiet shakedown with Diddy, but Diddy has been fighting these cases as well. So now he has moved on. In 2025, he's moved on to Shannon Sharpe. And this Shannon Sharpe situation is atrocious, because I do think this lady is lying. Like, you can look at the text messages that she sent and the text messages that he showed. It's weird. And Shannon and this lady, you can clearly tell that they have this type of like dominatrix kink type situation going on. And she is a young girl. So I really think that Shannon should have stayed away from this, but I think he likes the thrill. It has cost him his job at ESPN. And now it may cost him $50 million. That's what she's asking for. Now, Tony Buzbee, if he can get her that 50 mil, now she's funny because she doesn't get everything. He's going to get his 40%. She better ask somebody. There's a guy out there now suing him for the amount of his commission and how much Tony Buzbee has made off of his victims. Let me know what you think in the comments below. My name is Daisha Shakila.